Welcome to Seattle Maritime Works. Hi, I'm Ken Saunderson with the Seattle Propeller Club, and with me today is Jeff Horst, Vice President of Commercial for Saltchuk Marine. Hey, thanks for joining us today, Jeff.
Always a pleasure, Ken. Happy summer.
Hey, Jeff, let's start by having you tell us a little about your job at Saltchuk Marine. What do you do there?
So, as the Vice President of Commercial, in charge of the commercial activities of most of the operating companies that operate under Saltchuk Marine, which comprises really the tugboat operations. We have tugboats in California and in Alaska and in Hawaii.
A little bit about Saltchuk Marine's story and its companies and services.
Saltchuk started in 1982. Their first acquisition was Saltchuk Maritime, which is the deep sea cargo ships that run between Tacoma and Anchorage. Their second acquisition was Foss in 1987, and then they were kind of off and running in acquiring tugboat operations in our primary scope of operation, which is Alaska, Hawaii, and the U.S. West Coast. So we have tugboat operations in Anchorage, Alaska. We're on the U.S. West Coast in Washington, Oregon, and California, and we're also over in Hawaii. That is primarily under the Foss, AmNav, and Cook Inlet Tug Barge, which operates up in Alaska brands. And then we also operate the inter-island distribution service of containers and vehicles and cargoes between the Hawaiian Islands under the brand Young Brothers. But then we also have Foss Offshore Wind, which operates under Saltchuk under Saltchuk Marine, and they are and you'll be talking to Sloan next week about the business we do there.
You know, every time I talk with you, Jeff, it seems like you're involved with so many unique and innovative projects. Talk about some of the latest projects you're involved with.
Well, our big one is right now we're doing a big sea lift of modules up to the new Willow exploration project up in Alaska. That is going to be a 4-year endeavor, which kind of commenced the voyages just started last month, and so that's kind of the big one on the project side. On the harbor side, I always kind of describe it as the stock market and the bond market. The harbor is kind of one of those consistent. The harbor kind of works as the bond market. It's consistent revenues, consistent activities, consistent return. And on the project side, we have a fleet of tugs that do projects around the world, including the sea lift one. I kind of look at that as the stock market. That's where you have these spikes in activity, spikes in revenue. The boats are all being deployed, and it's a good return for us. But we're always looking at expansion. The wind project is ongoing. I think we're about a little over a third into that project in terms of the number of windmills we're going to be installing over in Massachusetts at the Vineyard Wind Project. And again, our pipeline is full with projects, with new opportunities. We're starting to see a lot of changes with the way energy is continuing to change in terms of where it moves to and where it moves from. A new crude pipeline just opened up in Alaska after several years of development. That's changing. New crude oils are moving into the West Coast from Vancouver. So there's always changing dynamics to our industry that causes us to have to change.
You talked a little bit about the opportunities there with offshore wind up in Alaska and any other great opportunities looking ahead for Saltchuk Marine?
Something we're looking at is our industry in North America continues to be dominated by legendary legacy family companies, and it's really the last continent in the world that has not had kind of a major consolidation of these legacy family businesses. So we see there's an opportunity for some growth and expansion as these legacy family companies get into the second, third, fourth generations, which generally will lead to some opportunities to make some acquisitions. So a lot of those things I can't talk about, but there's always discussions ongoing. So we hope to see some Saltchuk Marine, tugboat activities, maybe in some other regions other than the U.S. West Coast and Hawaii.
It's an exciting time for Saltchuk and the entire maritime industry.
Yeah.
Jeff, I love your passion. Why are you optimistic about the future of our maritime industry?
Well, like I said, and you've heard me say this before. I love change, and some of the change has been, some of it's not great, but it's a very dynamic business. What we do is very cool. It's big machines moving big ships in beautiful places like the Puget Sound or on the Columbia River or in Hawaii. And again, we are an essential link to commerce. We're an essential link to the economy and to all the states and ports and services and customers that we serve. So it's really, again, I no offense to anybody that works in the insurance industry, but I'm not working actuarial tables from a cubicle every day. We're out looking out the window at $20 million tugboats moving $400 million ships with 20,000 containers on them, and that is a pretty exciting industry to be involved with. Anybody out there that's looking for a direction, especially young people, I always kind of direct them towards the maritime industry. It's fun, it's interesting. You're outside. It's not. It's never boring, and people that get into it generally stay in it for life.
What a great story for the industry and for Saltchuk Marine. Hey, Jeff, thanks for joining us today.
Always a pleasure, buddy. Good to see you. Have a good summer.